Welcome to Self, Emotional Wellness for Man. I'm Courtney Brame, and I am the founder, executive director, the podcast host, the MC or facilitator of the Self Men's Emotional Wellness Symposiums. I want to thank you for being here. All two of y'all. I see last podcast episode had 2 downloads. Let's go. Progress. Um, all right, so I want to talk today about anger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of describe anger and talk about a specific situation that I went through and how that manifested later and not dealing with it, and I guess go through the power of being able to express your anger and the power of not expressing your anger. So uh, that's what today's podcast episode is going to be about. We're going to just talk a little bit about the situation, and hopefully there's something in here for you to take and apply for yourself. All right. Before getting into that, we have the Black Men's Emotional Wellness Symposium. This is going to be on November 30th. This is 4 conversations all in one day. It's a live recording, if you will. Y'all can join up from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Go to getself.org/events. And what we're going to be doing is deconstructing the high value man. We're looking at the different aspects of what makes a man high value, and deconstructing that from a spiritual lens, from a fit lens, from a leadership lens, to a vulnerability lens. So that'll be 4 conversations there. And then before that, on November 17th, if you are local to NYC, you can attend this in person, but there will be virtual access. I am going to be looking at um, well, kind of the same thing, right? Just I'm making a presentation that looks at emotional vulnerability through anime characters. And so I want this to be like an open discussion. I hope to see a lot of guys there. I don't know how many, men will be in physical attendance to something like this, especially because the space that it is, the spaces that are occupied, it's predominantly women. So hopefully the women who follow me, see that, and they're like, oh, I know a guy who might like this. Because this is something that I'm passionate about, as you can see with the um, men's emotional wellness brand that is Self, and the effort that I'm putting into and the money that I'm putting into this organization and making this something, right? I mentioned I'm a yoga therapist in training. If you haven't checked out the podcast episode, Yoga Therapies for Black Men Too, please check it out. You get an inside look of what that is. And I actually have clients. I have to do a case study for my training, but I have 2 people who um, are curious, they're interested in it, they like what I had to say, and these are paying clients. So I'm excited about this career path, and yeah, I look forward to what I'm gonna be able to learn and how to better serve through this new career avenue that is yoga therapy. All right. Now, oh, I'll link to the workshop, which is November 17th, as well as the event for the Men's Emotional Wellness Symposium. This will all be on the events tab of getself.org. All right, y'all, let's talk about this anger. Okay. Now, if you, I can't assume that people saw this, but I have a letting go series of yoga classes on the website. It's at getself.org/yoga, and you'll see that there are 10 yoga class recordings. These are all yin restorative style yoga classes. And I go through the book Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. I take my notes and I guide us through some movements to incorporate the information as I read through the notes that I have. All right. So one of those is on anger. So if you want more background on anger, I encourage you to check that out. But I want to share my most recent anger experience, and for being someone who is so mindful of his emotions and what my thoughts are, my actions. I had a moment. I had a moment, y'all. So I moved to New Jersey, and let me. I moved to New Jersey. I moved here in May. Okay, and me and my girlfriend, we were on our way to go get sushi at our favorite sushi spot. We hadn't been there in a while. So it's a good day. I'm excited. I hadn't seen her in a while because I was away for yoga therapy training. And I came back and yeah, I just wanted us to go to our sushi spot. So I'm driving, and in driving, um, I got to use GPS because I'm new here, right? So it's her car. I'm driving because she doesn't have to drive. So there's two lanes, all right? I'm in the left lane and I'm moving, and traffic over on my right side is not moving fast. And I noticed that my lane ends, like a left turn only. I see it. I was like, oh, I need to get over. So there's a like big slow moving truck, right? So I put my signal on and I'm going, and I go to get in front of him. I don't think he likes that I got in front of him. So he began to drive dangerously and could have hit us. And, I would have been in the right, but I ain't got no insurance, right? So that's the issue. So get in front of him. I'm getting pissed off thinking about it. Get in front of him, and I don't know how, did I get in front of him or no? I don't remember what happened, but somehow he ended up in front of me. So my girlfriend goes, "Oh yeah, we can park right here," because we were like right by the place. It was just one more light. So I noticed. I'm not looking for the parking spot, but I noticed because I can see like in front of me, he does something with his hands, and my anger, because that was what this is. My anger made me continue to, because I wanted to park in front of the place. The place was on the left, so I go a little further, and then I see that I can turn around in this parking lot to get the parking spot in front. So I turn into this parking lot, and I just so happened to look over there. This is small, bald man with a goatee with sunglasses on, and he's saying something. I roll the window down. I go, "Excuse me?" I didn't say excuse me. I think I said what? Because I'm angry. I know he talking shit. So he said something like, pointing down at the line. She was like, "Yeah, you see that solid white line? No, your black ass probably didn't." And I fumed and didn't do what me and my yoga training have taught me. So I had a moment. I had a little moment. I was like, I just kind of like side eye. I'm with my girl, and there's like an element of, all right, keep her safe. Don't put her in no dangerous situation. But everything in me wanted to beat the living shit out of this small man, especially for the unnecessary like comment. All of that was unnecessary. First off, the lane abruptly ended. There are no arrows on the ground. This is an area I'm unfamiliar with. There's just like no empathy. There was no compassion there. None of that shit. Just driving anger, and that really frustrated me. So it was like, oh, fuck you, racist ass fuck. Something like that. And then I just drove to where I was going. We were going opposite directions. So that I tried to act like nothing was wrong. We get in, we go to the sushi place, we sit down, we have a very pleasant time. We haven't seen the lady in a while, so the restaurant lady is really nice to us. She's talking to us and everything. We get our food, we we leave, we come back home, and I don't know if it was the same day or the next day, but my girl was on me. We were about to be intimate, and I'm like I'm into it, and then the thought creeps in about that situation, right? And when that happened, I just lost it. Like I lost it, and I told her because it could really beat down somebody's self-esteem if you like you know, doing something, going down on them, and then like you just get soft. So I just said it. I was like, "Hey, my bad, but like, I'm thinking about what happened the other day. She's like, no worries. She's like, I've wanted to talk about that, but I didn't know how or if I should. And so I just told her, I go back and forth because I'm very disappointed in myself in like feeding that anger, which, this man, um, there was a lesson there. Like he came into my life for that 20 whatever seconds and reminded me of something that needed to be addressed and dealt with because I've not experienced any like overt direct racism like that or been called like black or he didn't call me a nigga, but still feels very racially charged, right? And looking back on it, right, I don't like the thoughts that I had. I don't like that I like hoped that this motherfucker like drove and angrily like slid off one of those bridges, went into one of these creeks, couldn't get out the door, and then drowned, or went home and his wife left him, or was cheating on him for a black dude, right? Like these are the kinds of thoughts that still creep in despite all of the work that I have done and do, and it it felt like yoga Courtney, capital C Courtney, like can't coexist with this lower state of consciousness Courtney, right? Like I think I'm up here, I think I'm this, and then only for me to realize that a complete stranger that is, he has his own life path, whatever he got going on, in that brief moment of just driving, y'all, he was able to get that much out of me, or the stranger, was able to just rattle me so much. And so I talked to my girl about it, and we agreed that it's okay for me to have the emotions. What's not okay is me holding in the emotions because that came out as me losing my erection while getting head. Like I had that thought and then I just lost it because it wasn't dealt with, it wasn't processed. And this is like a physical manifestation of emotions, right? Like I'm learning and I'm practicing and talking about how important it is for us to let go of emotions. We being able to identify the emotion, experience the emotion, and then let it go. And I hadn't done that. Like I thought I was like, oh, yo, I'm letting it go. It's a difference between letting it go and saying you letting it go. Because I said I let it go. And what I was actually doing was repressing it and just trying not to think about it. But it needed to be experienced and to have that emotion experience in the presence of someone who was there and who always does a really good job of holding space whenever there is something like, I ain't gonna say like that because I've not had an experience like that. But it was pleasant. It was nice to be able to just talk to her about that and then just like be with the feeling, and it didn't mean anything to her, that like like that I'm not attracted to her or that I'm not turned on by her, that her head trash. It didn't mean any of that. It just speaks to like this particular experience. I happen to be connected enough, with my body and my mind, and a lot of us aren't. A lot of us are fragmented, and our awareness and attention is dispersed in different areas. We got social media, right? We got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we got Twitter or X, and then we've got YouTube, right? So that's like 5, 6 different channels for our awareness to be always. Then we've got our relationship or other relationships too. Then we've got our family, we've got our friendships, we got our career, we got our passion. So before you know it, like default is our attention is dispersed in 12 different places. So I just so happen to be, in and out of a social media break for the month of October. I get back on to make posts for like things that I've agreed to previously to prior to my social media break. And in having my awareness be more within me, I was able to recognize like the moment of the thought and what happened in my body. The anger made me lose my erection. And I'm not gonna say like that dude made me angry. That dude made me realize I have anger in me. And it's it's kind of like it's looking to justifiably express itself. We can't be scared of our anger, right? Like I think that me suppressing my anger is a fear response. That's me being afraid of expressing my anger because I'm a big black dude in America, strong, threatening looking. If you don't know me, and in the event that this anger does get out or expresses itself, if it's at the wrong time or place, that is a threat to my survival. And in addition to that, it's not just me anymore. I have a person that I'm responsible for in my relationship. And then how does this look like with a family? This person and, having children. I happen to be an example of that. And yeah, I guess like these kinds of thoughts are just there. And this is with just one situation that reminded me of anger, that reminded me that I have anger. I'm not angry. I'm not, my identity is not interconnected with my anger. It's just something that I have. And so even just talking about this right now, like I feel as if it's releasing, if you will. That whole process of letting go, we all do it in our own ways. But I've avoided the feeling, the very thing that David R. Hawkins says not to do. Don't avoid the feeling. You gotta sit with it. You gotta let it be. And I recognize like what that anger feels like in my body, and it's heat rising up my spine, through my neck, through my shoulders, right? As I feel it, I feel like I want to fight. And then when I start to interrogate that with curiosity, just loving curiosity, well, why am I angry? Why do I want to fight? Why do I want to fight him? And it's just like this sense of heroism, I guess. I don't know, like the hero complex. Like no harm was done, but you can't go around beating people up for the harm that they could have caused, right? He didn't hit the car. Nobody got hit. There wasn't an accident. Who knows? If he got out, maybe he had a gun on him. I would have been ready to beat the shit out of him, but he would have had the confidence of this is America. I have a gun. He's black. I'm white. I'm right. He's wrong. And also like what would that mean for my girlfriend? So like these are all things that I'm angry that I have to think about. I haven't said that out loud before. I haven't had that thought before either, but it makes me angry that these are the kinds of things that I have to think about, even though the reality is that like all I would have needed him to do was get out the car, swing first, and I would have been justified in beating the living shit out of this man. And for what? Because my lane ran out. I didn't know. I'm new in town. I wanted to get over. He didn't want to let me get over. He was having a bad day, and I tried. I didn't actually. I didn't try. I just tried to dismiss it. You know what? Maybe he needed to get somewhere fast. And that was it. I didn't give it more than that. I didn't give it more compassion. And maybe that's what that man needed. Why couldn't I say, hey, man, peace be with you? Why didn't I just say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off? And like those are the things that like I'm angry at myself for. I'm angry at myself for losing my cool. No, and I'm very glad that a thought that I didn't have was like this need to prove my masculinity to my girlfriend. 'Cause she knows too. She knows like how sideways things can go real quick. And I love that we're able to talk about that. But the higher self version of me, and then like all of the things that could have happened that would have not gotten us to that point. Like if I wasn't angry and I saw, oh, there's a parking spot right here. Well, what would have happened is we would have parked, we would have gotten out, and we would have been walking. And I don't know. I don't know what would have happened because he would have had a red light close to where we were walking to. He would have been able to say things, probably longer than what me just turning around would have went. But like, I don't know that there's any value in speculating, but I think there is something in having the space to be able to express the emotion and like process a thing that happened and being able to express it. Like, if I could see that man again and I knew it was him, you know, I'd be angry at his reaction, but I ain't gonna say I was wrong. And there's that like ego flaring up because I didn't. I put my signal on. I was in the wrong lane. Like I wasn't maliciously trying to pass. And I guess this is where people talk about like intention impact, right? My intention was to just get over. I didn't know that the lane was ending. But the impact was almost physical impact. And then these fists was gonna make physical impact. But we ain't gotta go into all of that. So yeah, just coming from a place of like more clarity now and understanding of myself and who, not just who I am, but who I'm choosing to be, that was out of character. That was out of character. So, despite what other people's reactions are to our things, and the reaction that we have to their reaction, at the core of that is always going to be you. You making your conscious decisions and choosing how you want to navigate the world. And yeah, like I apologize. Like I can't apologize to him, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I, like this is difficult for me. It's difficult perhaps because I've seen what kind of person this man is and his reaction to what happened. I'm driving, I'm paying attention. There's no indication that the lane's ending. And I try to get over, put my signal on, and he doesn't want me to get over. So, I mean, my apology could have triggered his apology. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm actually wrong. Maybe I'm actually in the wrong because this wouldn't have happened if that wouldn't have happened. So the core of it being if I knew where I was going, there's just so many things that could have happened differently, right? So I'm gonna go with my it happened, and now what does that mean? So okay, it road ends or lane ends, and I want to get over, trying to get over. The person doesn't want to let me over, I get over anyway. And person's mad. All right, like that has nothing to do with me. Just like I had my own anger and he activated it, he had his own anger and I activated it. So, had I known or understood like what the anger was about, like if it's I cut you off and you have somewhere to be, or it didn't feel safe for you, I don't know. If any of these things were communicated, I would have absolutely just been like, hey, I apologize. That would have been that. Like I ain't too big to apologize, especially if I know I'm in the wrong. But I struggle with this because it doesn't really feel like I was in the wrong. Like any regret in this is really for not having honored the kind of person that I see myself to be, which is not a person who holds on to anger, right? Like I can have anger and I hold on to it, but that showed me that there's some anger I'm holding on to. And so like now there's more work to be done. There's always more work to be done, but specifically around anger, like damn. um, but yeah, I invite you to interrogate that anger. You know, when a thing happens and you identify some reactivity, um, the most useful thing that you can do is just interrogate it. Identify what the emotion is. Ask yourself the most recent time you felt that, and then the last time you can remember. I'm sorry, the first time you remember having that feeling, and the most recent time. Tie it together, and there's a thread. For me, y'all, I ain't been angry in a long time, but I do get angry when people take advantage of people. So I guess like feeling used or when people are bullied, like seeing it happen to other people. And this might be part of the dissociation thing. Like when I see it happening to other people who can't fend for themselves, like I'm very ready to like fight for them, to like do something on their behalf. And for myself, like I can let that shit go for myself. Or I thought until this happened. But there's more work to be done. That's all it is to it. So that's my experience with anger and just like how it manifested and being able to talk about it actually it helps. Like I was able to get hard again and have sex with my girlfriend and not have the thought come up again during sex. So just because you're not having the thought doesn't mean that it's gone away or that it's gotten better or it's healed. No, it doesn't mean any of that. It just means that, you know, we're human beings, we're healing. We're always in the process of healing. And that's what that was. That was a reminder. Oh, my man, y'all. It's 6 a.m. I've been up since 4:30 on a Saturday. But yeah, it's just a reminder that we're healing. Healing is an ongoing thing. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that reminder that I'm healing, that I'm human, that I'm not perfect, and that none of us are. So yeah, I'm moving through. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And again, I encourage you to check in about anger before like it reminds you or activates you in a way where you don't respond in the way that you see yourself as the kind of person who would respond. So this is what I do with anger, what I do with a lot of other emotions. And I think moving forward for self, maybe we should look at some more emotions. Whatever's relevant in my life at the time, I'm happy to hop on here and share. Like this was really easy. Press record, talk, and then I'll go ahead and upload it and just kind of make it into like a blog post article about, you know, anger and what we can learn from it, make it something useful. So whoever's listening to this, I hope that you find it to be valuable. I hope to catch you at the November 17th event, and then the November 30th Black Men's Emotional Wellness Symposium. This is at getself.org/events. You can check those out. Um, and yeah, I think that's it. Appreciate y'all.